أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي واشدد به أزري واشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. For us, God suffices, and He's the best disposer of affairs. Ameen. وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Happy Sunday. Inshallah, everybody's doing good. We will pick up from page 205, the ninth ray, the second point. This explains in summary form a proof of many proceeding from the testimony to the truth of resurrection of the other pillars of belief. So this explains in summary form a proof, one of many, proceeding from the testimony to the truth of resurrection of the other pillars of belief. It is as follows. All the miracles indicating the messengership of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and the evidences for his prophethood, and all the proofs of his veracity. All the miracles indicating the messengership of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and the evidences for his prophethood, and all the proofs of his veracity together testify to the occurrence of the resurrection and prove it. Together testify to the occurrence of the resurrection and prove it. For after divine unity, everything he claimed throughout his life was centered on the resurrection of the dead. Everything he claimed throughout his life was centered on the resurrection of the dead. Also, all his miracles and proofs affirming and making affirmed all the previous prophets attest to the same truth. Also, all his miracles and proofs affirming and making affirmed. All his miracles and proofs affirming and making affirmed. All the previous prophets attest to the same truth. Also, the testimony of the phrase and in his scriptures, which makes completely clear the testimony of the phrase and in his prophets, testifies to the same truth, like this. So this testimony of the phrase and in his scriptures and which makes completely clear the testimony of the phrase and in his prophets, testifies to the same truth like this. I'm not sure what this is referring to and in his scriptures and in his prophets. Is it referring to a verse? Not sure. All the miracles, truths, and proofs, proving foremost the veracity of the Quran of miraculous exposition, testify to and prove the realization and occurrence of resurrection. For almost a third of the Quran, is about resurrection. And at the beginning of most of its short surah are powerful verses about it. It expresses the same truth explicitly and implicitly, with thousands of its verses and proofs and demonstrates it. So it expresses the same truth explicitly and implicitly with thousands of its verses and proves and demonstrates it. For example, yeah, go ahead.
So I'm just wondering, so one aspect of the miracles of the prophets is to make us realize that this man is employed, this person is employed by the owner of the universe. And in this text, it seems to be suggesting that it is also another aspect of the miracles is also to bring my awareness to the resurrection of the dead, although it's not that prevalent, I would say. I mean, it's not much spoken about.
The miracles, is connecting to resurrection. How so? How are the miracles?
Maybe we can discuss how is it relating to the.
Okay.
That's what the author seems to be implying.
Oh, okay, that's a good point. Thank you, because I think from what we've studied in the author's writing in the past, even the miracles are like proofs that make us realize, like you were saying, that this person is an employee of the creator of the universe, but not for our time, but right there and then at the time of the direct revelation. But for us, again, it enhances our evidence as far as, yeah, this guy is the messenger of the creator of the universe. So now you're saying that the author here is also mentioning that these miracles are also signifying about the truth of resurrection. So how is that? Good. Thank you. Good comment. And so here's the question, but we can look into the verses. So the question really is, how can we look into miracles, or how do the miracles actually point to the necessity of resurrection? Let me just put up there on the chat. How do the miracles resurrection? Okay. Oops. Okay, so here's a question on the chat. You guys can look into it and we can go over it, but let's look into the verses while everybody's thinking, the verses that are mentioned here. So these verses are pretty much extracted as talking about resurrection. So like the author is saying here, for almost a third of the Quran is about resurrection.
Various sections.
Yeah, and at the beginning of most of its short surahs are powerful verses about it. It expresses the same truth explicitly and implicitly with thousands of its verses and proves and demonstrates, for example. So Ali Murmur, go ahead, please.
That's an excellent question and concern. What is it to do, miracles? Not what is it to do with the resurrection? Now, in the second paragraph of the second point, almost in the middle, the author says, for here, the beginning of the sentence, we can say, because after divine unity, everything he claimed, the prophet claimed, throughout his life was centered on the resurrection of the dead, which is really correct, although at the beginning it was about, most of the revelation was about the destruction of the universe. It means, what we understand from it, the universe is being dependent on somebody or something else will. So the one who gave existence to it can destruct any time. So this is also another aspect of the resurrection. If the universe is created by a conscious being and the universe itself says, I can be distracted anytime, I cannot sustain my own being, then the universe itself demonstrates that the one who gave existence to the whole universe can do anything under the witnessing of the marvelous creation, wonderful, perfect creation of the whole universe. So it is related to the claim that the universe must have a creator. What the prophets, all the prophets, well-known prophets, claimed this. But their miracles, we understand that miracle means the changing of the way that the universe exists and acts or universe works. Who can change the order of the universe? Who can change it? We can ask this question. Which kind of source can change the order? The one who gave it, whoever it is or whatever it is, it can change it. It means if a person says, I am the prophet or appointed messenger of the creator of this universe, and the creator of this universe, source of existence of this universe, changes the order. What does it mean? It is the confirmation of the claim of this person as to be the messenger of the creator of the universe, which is called God. Now, and after being confirmed by the miracles, these people, all prophets, base their arguments, their claim throughout their life based on the necessity existence of the creator and necessity existence of the hereafter, next creation. So resurrection of the dead. So what does it mean? These miracles are at the same time proving the content of the message of the messengers, which is fundamentally resurrection of the dead and the divine unity, the creators being an absolute one. So miracles are visual evidence that resurrection of dead really true. Visual evidence for those people who observe it. So all the prophets are well known for their miracles. It means God's approval. So the creator of the universe confirms that the news of resurrection of the resurrection of the dead is confirmed by the creator of the universe. That's why it is in the, I'm sure, I mean, according to the author, it is in the mind of the author that miracles are proof of the reality of the resurrection of the dead. That's what I understood.
Thank you for sharing your comments, and I'll be lying if I say I got it. Because I'm thinking about resurrection. What I observe is really what's out there in the universe. So we always take the analogy of seed, and then tree or plant. So we see how the seed is resurrected into a plant, or an embryo cell resurrected into a perfect baby human being. So these are some evidences of resurrection. But here I am experiencing constant change, which, like you were saying, is also a miracle, because what can be the source of existence of this change? Not me, not the food I ate, not the atmosphere or environment I'm in. So I wonder. And so an employee of the creator of the universe comes in saying, hey, this miracle that you're observing is from the creator of the universe. I'm like, okay, good. You seem to be knowing some kind of knowledge of what the creator has in his mind about this existence. So yeah, tell me more. What do you mean? So to me, it seems that I need to do some more communication with this messenger of the creator of the universe to take of this miracle that I observe here to the next level in terms of, oh, I will be resurrected like the embryo and the seed of a tree, but obviously not within the conditions of this universe. The order does not allow that, but I must have some kind of rebirth, if you will, of another type than what I experience in this universe. So I must experience something other than what I experience in this universe. So that's the news that the messenger from the creator of the universe brings to me, that I must experience something not of the nature of this universe, because my humanity necessitated. And so once I conclude about what does this miraculous universe points to, then it should help me extend my conclusion or go further in understanding a resurrection not of the nature of this universe. Because if you think about it, the embryo, the seed are resurrections of the nature of this universe. And here we are, we're talking about a resurrection not of the nature of this universe. So I still need to think a little more on this, but this is exactly what I took away from it. So yes, I'm still wondering about this resurrection. Maybe so this is what the messengership is bringing me, talking about a resurrection not of the nature of this universe. That's it. Okay, so yeah, makes sense. Alhamdulillah, thank you. If anyone wants to express something out, but like I'm still thinking, so if this is the news, or like you were saying, the word you use, content, if this is the content that's being brought to me, then I need to think about it. Like what? Like how can I accept this right here and then? Like there must be a resurrection not of the nature of this universe. Like that's arouses my curiosity. Like what is it like? What is not of the nature of this universe? Because all I know is this universe. And like we always mention, nobody sent me a letter that, hey, I'm in a resurrected place, not of the nature of this universe, right? So it's, I'm, still wondering about that piece. So like, okay, I get it. The content is broad, but like, how do I confirm it within myself, as in being convinced about this resurrection, not of the nature of this universe? Okay. Alhamdulillah. So, any comments from anybody? Oh, go ahead, Sohail.
Assalamu alaikum. So, what I took away from this is, from these paragraphs are, like, at least, personally, as a personal example, if somebody, has a degree in something, the degree sort of in a way confers some sort of expertise or what somebody knows, but that does not necessitate what the person who's listening, let's say somebody's a doctor or a lecturer or a teacher, that doesn't necessitate the person who's listening to that person to actually believe in what they're saying or to listen to them or take what they have to say seriously. In other words, the degree itself merely exists for the sole purpose of just, attesting to the veracity of the person speaking on the subject matter. For example, let's say a medical degree theoretically is supposed to attest to the competency of somebody giving medical advice. That is the entire point of the degree itself, nothing other than that, so that somebody may listen. And what that person has to say is really what the degree is for. And so I think Nursi's point here is that these miracles, exist to attest to the veracity of what the messenger is saying. And what the messenger is saying concerns the hereafter, the resurrection, that, man will die, he will be resurrected and be taken into account for what he has done in his life. That is the whole point of what these miracles are for. And so if somebody, you always think about like why the people in the early Meccan period didn't accept his messengership. It's interesting because, you can show somebody a miracle, but that doesn't mean they're going to believe in anything. And to me, it's because, as like, some of these famous verses, like, do they, like, will we become, I forget the exact verse, but there are things several, like, will we become brought back again after we become dust, or because they could not accept resurrection. Therefore, to them, the miracles weren't anything. They were just, it's some interesting things, maybe magic, maybe some sort of illusion, but okay, I can't accept your message, so I don't take your degree seriously. In the same way, somebody who maybe doesn't take medical advice seriously, they essentially don't take the person's degree seriously. I'm using an example, theoretical example here. So to me, it's the same thing here, is that you can't separate out the degree from what the person has to say. They go hand in hand. And if I don't take resurrection seriously, then I don't really take the miracle seriously, because that's what they're there for. They're Muhammad's degree to pay attention to him and say, oh, he has to say something interesting. Let me think about it. Let me think about whether the resurrection is actually true, whether it's verifiable, whether I can believe in it. And if I don't really take that message seriously, then the miracles don't really mean anything to me. Just like they didn't mean to the early Meccan pagans. They said, oh, this is just magic or illusion. It doesn't mean anything. So I think that's what Nursi is trying to convey here, because that is, to me, the messenger's most important aspect of his is that, resurrection is paramount because it puts man's life in perspective, rather than just seeing his life as being aimless. Like it puts into perspective, what is his life for? Like, what is even the purpose of his being, living in this life? Without resurrection, you can enter life through one door and exit the other without thinking about anything, or reflecting, or contemplating, or doing anything. So it is really the most paramount aspect of his messengership, and as Nursi says, a third of the Quran is about the resurrection, because what is more important for man than that? So, but those are my thoughts.
Jazakallah khair. This was very helpful, especially the analogy. It's very vivid. And so pretty much taking in not only the message seriously, but who is presenting the message. is, like you said, go hand in hand. And at the same time, so whatever the message is being said to me, like this news of resurrection, it's really unraveling my human reality pretty much. So now, as the receiver or the one listening in, I like reposition my what do you say, my aims here, where I think even this news of resurrection then goes hand in hand with my doings or the aims or endeavors of this universe. Alhamdulillah, that was very helpful. Jazakallah khair again. Any other comments from anybody? Okay. So, wow, this is interesting actually, this. Yeah. Okay, let's look into the verses. Yeah, because if you think about it, then what's the point of anything we're doing here?
Exactly.
So resurrection, like
Must be a purpose.
it's otherwise aimless, like even doing this,
If it goes to waste.
yeah, coming here, studying this, like why am I studying this author? Seriously, it's just repeating the same thing. Resurrection, we've been studying for like a year almost now. Well, wow, okay. All right. But this is very interesting also, like the author himself has developed a very thorough understanding for himself about resurrection and the aim of this life for him to be sharing like that. Because it's just unraveling the human experience within himself to be convinced about resurrection. Inshallah, maybe I'll experience that. Alrighty. All right, so let's look into these verses. So again, let's read up. All the miracles, truths, and proofs proving foremost the veracity of the Quran of miraculous exposition testify to and prove the realization and occurrence of resurrection. Wow, that makes, alhamdulillah, very good sense now. And so almost a third of the Quran is about resurrection, and at the beginning of most of its short surahs are powerful verses about it. It expresses the same truth explicitly and implicitly with thousands of its verses and proves and demonstrates it. So for example, so let's take the first verse. When the sun is folded up, when the sun is folded up, that's from Quran chapter 81, verse 1. O man, fear your sustainer. The trembling of the hour is an awesome event. The trembling of the hour is an awesome event, as in realizing the reality of this universe is really the purpose of your existence. Realizing resurrection, like a drop of resurrection, is an awesome event. And that's from Quran chapter 22, verse 1. So, oh man, fear your sustainer. The trembling of the hour is an awesome event. When the earth is convulsed. Quran chapter 99, verse 1. When the earth is convulsed. Let me say that. Give me a second. Let me look into when the earth is like being violently shaken. Yeah, wow. What does that mean? We can let me think about it a little bit. When the earth is convulsed, when the heavens are torn.
For example.
Mm-hmm. Qu'est-ce qu'il disait? I'm sorry. What did you say, Brother Ali?
Earthquake, for example.
Oh, earthquake. Okay.
Shaken up.
Shaken up, yeah. Okay. When the heavens are torn asunder. Quran chapter 82, verse 1. When the heavens are torn asunder. So what can that mean? Like something like thunder, lightning. And when the heavens are torn apart. Quran chapter 84, verse 1. Concerning what they dispute. Who? Quran chapter 78, verse 1. Concerning what they dispute. People, like when we're having
Resurrection.
right discussions, disagreements. No? What is this? Concerning what they
The
dispute.
understanding of resurrection, that there will be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay. Alrighty. What they dispute. I'm like, no, it's not gonna happen. This is what it is. This is it. Any kind of dispute already. Has the story reached you of the overwhelming event? Oh, has the story reached you of the resurrection? That's overwhelming. Quran chapter 88, verse 1. Okay, so these are some powerful verses, just a few taken up from the Quran, but they are interesting to discuss on. Okay, so these are some examples. So besides demonstrating with complete certainty at the beginning of 30 or 40 surahs that resurrection is the most important and necessary truth in the universe, it sets forth various persuasive evidences for that truth in others of its verses. Okay. All right, any comments on these? Okay, we can just go to the next. Okay, so is there any possibility that belief in the hereafter should be false? Again, this resurrection news, which emerges like the sun from the thousands of declarations and statements of a book, a single indication of one of the verses, of which has yielded before our eyes the fruits of numerous learned and cosmic truths in the Islamic sciences. Is there any possibility that belief in the hereafter should be false? So this belief in the hereafter emerges like the sun from the thousands of declarations and statements of a book, a single indication of one of the verses of which has yielded before our eyes the fruits of numerous learned and cosmic truths in the Islamic sciences. Okay, I don't know, maybe what can Islamic sciences imply, but what I understand is that just even taking those verses at face value about the sky being torn apart, the earth shaken up, like how do I explain this happening or the source of existence of it? So isn't that proof that there must be a one that's changing everything here? And so everything that I observe and experience must have a purpose to it. And learned and cosmic truths. So cosmic truths, I think I can relate that to, again, taking those verses just in the previous page. When the heavens are torn apart, when the heavens are torn asunder. Numerous learned truths would be maybe what I gather from observing the order here, that's learned. And in the Islamic sciences, I don't know what that is, but I think just in general what I observe, or maybe there may be some scholarly work on just understanding resurrection, kind of like that. Okay, is there any possibility of denying the sun or the existence of the universe? No. Would it not be impossible and absurd? This is very interesting. Like, it may seem like a basic sentence that, hey, Are you denying the universe? Are you denying the existence of what you experience? Because that's the start of everything. First of all, confirming that I'm given existence, and which points to the one that gives existence, and that this existence must have a purpose. Hence, the need for resurrection. Is it possible? Is it at all possible that although an army may sometimes be plunged into battle, so that a mere sign of the king should not be given the lie, to show as false the thousands of words, promises, and threats of that most serious, proud monarch? Is it possible that they should be false? So can an army go to war without the sign of an authority? So is it at all possible that although an army may sometimes be plunged into battle, so that a mere sign of the king should not be given the lie, to show as false the thousands of words, promises, and threats of that most serious, proud monarch? Not what you understand from this sentence. I don't get it.
Which one?
So the second last sentence. So is it at all possible that although an army may sometimes be plunged into battle, so that a mere sign of the king should not be given the lie, to show as false the thousands of words, promises, and threats of that most serious, proud monarch? Is it at all possible they should be false? So would somebody like what we observe here, an army goes
There should
to,
be a purpose for the army to go to.
yeah, but what are all these stuff that are being said here? Serious, proud words, promises. What does that encompass?
It's just like the analogy with the Quran or the Prophet's message about resurrection of the dead.
Okay.
Whoever made this universe is time and time again mentioning about it. 1/3 of the Quran is about it. So would that be in any way false? What that is?
But what is it saying? Even the analogy, I don't even understand the
Oh,
analogies
the
about. So
whole
Ali Marmar
analogy.
has his hand up. Go ahead, Father Ali.
Can we go to back to the previous page? Now, just the beginning of the paragraph before the verses, all the miracles. Now, let's concentrate on this first sentence. All the miracles, truths, and proofs foremost the veracity of the Quran of miraculousness exposition. It is truth of the Quran's claim or message. All the miracles, truths, and proofs testify to and prove the realization of occurrence of resurrection. Now, I had some sort of experience like this in my practical life. So, as an old man, I often go to hospital. Now, the doctor tells me, "What is your problem?" I say, I have something in one of my members of my body, and if he tells me that, when you do this, does it happen in this way? I say, yes. No, if you do another thing, doesn't happen in another way like this? I say, yes. Yes, yes. Oh, this man knows the subject. And then said, okay, take this medicine. It's a simple example. As Cyril mentioned before, I testified the truthfulness of this doctor in his degree or qualification or speciality. And then, without any hesitation, I take his advice, his prescription, and apply it as he wants me to do. Likewise, this is a simple example, of course, but Quran says all the truths, all the miracles, what are they? If we study the Quran, if we studied the Quran and understood that what he says about the creation and the creator and the qualities manifested, his qualities manifested in the world and demonstrates it, and gives examples, etc. What I say, now I learned from this book that the universe has a creator, which we can apply to the monarch, and with one finger, it means he has absolute power, absolute knowledge, absolute sovereignty over the universe. He is the absolute owner of the universe. Every single being is coming into existence and acting according to his will, nothing else. If I'm convinced about it, and the same book says, we are going to torn apart all the heavens. The same, if you like, commander of the universe says, I'm going to do this. Do we have any suspicion about his message now? Because we established through the teachings of the Quran, we understand that the miracles, that the truths and proofs of the Quran also confirms its news about the destruction of this world and the resurrection of dead bodies. You will be resurrected like the plants are, like the plants come out of the earth. You will come out of your grave like this. Of course, this is speaking to human practical experience in this world, because my body goes under the soil, earth. So what I see that, oh, body is under the soil, or like, and it is an example, actually, it is a comparison or simile, like the seed goes under the soil, and then with the command of the creator, plant is created, comes out of the soil, breaks through all the heavy load of soil on it, and comes out of it, and in a perfect way roots down, and the shoot up, and flourishes in the form of a plant, maybe a big tree at the end. Who is organizing all this according to the teachings of the Quran? The creator of the universe. And this creator of the universe says, at the same time, I am going to destroy everything and take you out of the soil and give you another body. Now, your seed is in the soil, but you will become, I will create you in the form of a tree now. That is the news he gives me. Of course, this analogy works only if we are convinced about the teachings of the Quran in general, fundamentally. Even if we didn't have any other evidence, even if we didn't see any evidence that the Quran presents directly related to the resurrection, the fact of resurrection, gives examples and and asks us to think about it. Of course, what we are reading here is an addendum to the 10th word, with what we study on Saturdays. The 10th word is about resurrection, 50, 60 pages. And this is an addendum. These examples of the miracles of the prophets, miracles of the Quran, the books, are just an addendum to the previous evidences. It is not the only evidence. This is just an addendum to it. So we have to think that these are all understood, it makes sense reasonably, but at the same time, these are extra extension of the proofs of the reality of resurrection that we are reading today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, so now this last sentence, rhetorical question, does kind of make sense. So can any of that which we observe and the news that we hear, can that be any some kind of lie as far as what we observe? Is it at all possible that anything that we experience here and the news that we hear, can that be false? Okay. Otherwise, that would contradict the wordings, promises, and threats of that most serious proud monarch. Okay, alhamdulillah, that makes sense. Right, let's move on to the next paragraph. Although a single sign of that glorious spiritual monarch who for 30 centuries without break has ruled over innumerable spirits, minds, hearts, and souls within the bounds of truth and reality, and trained and educated them, would be sufficient to prove the truth of resurrection. It has demonstrated it with thousands of explicit statements. Is the torment of hellfire not necessary then for the compounded idiot who does not recognize this fact? Is it not pure justice? Okay, let me see. Some things to understand here. So pretty much, how can I deny the existence of this universe? That's a no-brainer. We all notice things coming into existence throughout our lifespan. And so how do I explain, I think, pretty much the existence of this universe? Because that would be sufficient as an evidence to the necessity of resurrection. This has been demonstrated with thousands of explicit statements, so we can relate these to the verses, some of which were shared. And so, is the torment of hellfire not necessary then for the compounded idiot who does not recognize this fact, is it not pure justice? So pretty much if you're denying your reality, if you're living in a lie, then you're really not recognizing the fact that's out there. And so with such choice and attitude, you must experience an eternal suffering, and that's pure justice because you choose to be obstinate. Okay. Moreover, by their definite acceptance of the truth, although this last sentence that I highlighted is the torment of hellfire not necessary then for the compounded idiot who does not recognize this fact, is it not pure justice? Just have some really rudimentary thoughts, but I think again recognizing like pretty much I cannot just suffice with what I experience and conclude, but I must always go one step higher with the understandings, because if I do suffice myself, then then in the long term I experience torment, and that's justice. Although there's something I'm not able to express out, but it's something that I'm thinking about it as well. But it's interesting also this like mentioning of this piece here, because everybody is in the know pretty much of what we experience in this universe, but then what do I do about it is the question. What do I do about it, and how much do I put into it? Then that speaks about this verse. Alrighty. Go ahead, Ali Murmur. Brother Ali, go ahead, please.
In another place, the same author explains that denying the Creator is not one event. It is just saying one crime, and doing a partial or local crime. I don't know how to express it really. If I say there is no God, what does it mean really? Ultimately, it means whatever I can see in this world, this exists by itself, it exists by itself. Scholars said, I mean, I don't want to mention the name, but very famous scholar, most of the people of this age, especially those people who don't believe in God, under the influence of this person. Everybody knows his name. He says, the universe is either accident or just by itself happening like this. That's it. He's a great scholar. He influenced many people, even he influenced some of the trends in scientific researches. So that's why I understand the feelings of the author saying that this compounded idiot now accidentally happened this universe. He claims like this. If we understand that denying God, the Creator, is not one event. It is related to every single being saying that you don't show any sign, you don't witness, you don't glorify anything, you glorify yourself. It means I am my own creator. You glorify yourself. What does it mean? Taking every single element of the universe from the ownership of their real owner and attributing it to the things themselves. Can you imagine a person comes to your house and says, you are not the owner of the house. What does it mean? The house, the building doesn't belong to you. All the furniture in the building doesn't belong to you. Water system, electrical system don't belong to you. And you are giving me food. It is not from you. It is just accident. For example, you provide this person as an owner some facilities like toilets, like wedding room or living room, maybe other services. No, it is not you. What is the result of this all rejections of everything from your ownership and denying that they happen to be like this? You're not the owner of them. Just one word. You don't own this house. You are not the host of this house. That's it. And this house doesn't belong to you. This is one explanation that we learn from the other examples, other places where the author explains why the one who denies God deserves for an eternal hellfire, torment of the hellfire, and also continuously, not temporarily, because it is a universe-wide denial of the ownership. So as an owner, what do you say? Okay, then, I am not going to give you the house. I am not going to give you the all the furniture. I'm not going to give you the opportunity to use the toilet, to use the bedroom, to use the living room, to use other utilities. I'm not going to give you any more food because you denied everything, that they are not from me. Okay, go and get it then. Whatever you think that they come from, get it from them. That is hell for the one who denies God. Another example is given here, actually, not explicitly, but it reminded me. If a person denies the resurrection, says that death is inevitable, everybody knows it, and there is no resurrection. Whenever I die, I disappear from existence. As soon as I support this idea, or prescribe to this idea, what I start feeling every moment, I may die, go into non-existence. Second day, I may die, go into non-existence. The typical example we give, a driver definitely knows that at the end of the road, he or she is driving on, there is a cliff, the car will fall into the cliff and completely destroyed. Okay. He is driving. He doesn't know when, but he believes that at the end of the road, somewhere, in the next time, next tribe or next corner, there may be this cliff. I may fall. Every moment of his life, driving, this is our symbolic life on earth. We are driving our life here. I may fall into non-existence, into non-existence, into non-existence. When? Any moment. So even if I drive, let's say 1,000 or 10,000 miles, not that I experience only once the pain of falling into a cliff. Every moment I experience the fear of falling into the cliff. The fear is always with me. This is also a sign that we are created in this way. If you deny the Creator, if you deny the resurrection, you will feel the pain of going into annihilation at every moment of your life. You cannot get rid of it. This is also a sign that the denier, the punishment for the denier will be every moment in its existence after resurrection. This is a sign that we experience here. It is not an alien idea for us that whoever denies the resurrection, he will be continuously experiencing falling into non-existence in this world and also in the next creation, as the Quran gives the news, says this man will be continuously experiencing the non-existence of every single thing he or she wants. That is why denying the resurrection, the conclusion or the consequence of the denial of the resurrection is or has to be with no end. That is why the hell is described in the Quran, abada, no end, no end, no end. We can see the sign here, and also we can see or hear the news from the Quran, and rationally we understand that it is really true.
Okay, thank you. All right, any comments from anybody? Okay, so let's stop here for today. Inshallah, next Sunday we'll pick up from moreover, by their definite acceptance of the truth of resurrection, that paragraph, inshallah. Thank you all for joining us in and your comments. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you're all knowledgeable, all wise. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.